Good evening. So I just got done listening to my interview three with Priscilla. Um, going to go over both pros and cons. The first thing I'm going to go over is the cons. I like to critique the interview before I build up on some of the things that I feel like I did well on. Some of the cons that I have is I felt like I spoke too quickly when I was asking the questions of Priscilla. Uh, Whenever I was asking the questions, I felt like I wanted to get my point across so fast and so quickly that it was almost inaudible to the person who was sitting as an outside third person viewer to the interview. And even though Priscilla picks up on those questions and is able to answer those, I almost had a hard time myself and hearing the questions that I was asking. So I think slowing my voice and my tone down would be a much better approach to interviewing on the subject I have in the future. One of the other issues that I have with Priscilla is that it seems like some of my questions are very leading. It seems like I set up the venue or the limitations that I have for the way that I want her to take the answer to my question. And I don't think that's a fair way to conduct an interview. If I just ask a question and let Priscilla elaborate on that, I can get to the answer better than as if I structured the way that I wanted her to answer that. One of the questions I ask is to give me to set the scene for me on how the when she's being given the gavel from her teacher, what the scene looked like and what her parents' feelings were and what her parents um, felt or said at the time. I feel like when I said that, I should have just said, set the scene for me, and then let her elaborate. Instead, I was trying to gear it more towards what her parents' actions were, and I felt like I pushed her towards giving me that certain answer. The same as in interview two. In interview three, I had way too many ums, those sound fillers, or trying to fill the silence or fill the gap in her answer and my question with sounds like trying to collect my thoughts. I feel like I need to make a sound, and that's where the sound comes in. I really want to get rid of that. Whenever Priscilla would give me an answer to a question, I would use the word okay. One of the issues I felt like I critiqued a lot in the second interview was that when the interviewee um, answered my questions, I would use the words either okay, right, absolutely, that sounds fantastic. And I would use that in when I'm giving the interview. I feel like I am trying to relate to that person, so that's the words that I use. It just comes across as annoying and unprofessional whenever I view that interview on the outside. Um, one more time, one of the lessons I wrote down for the cons is that some of the questions that I ask Priscilla do not give her the open mindedness to be able to elaborate on her answer. It's almost like my question directs her into a certain answer that I'm trying to get out of her. Uh, I don't want to lead interviews that direction. I want to be able to ask the questions and let the interviewee give me the answers that she wants to give me, and then be able to turn around and ask follow-up questions on each one of those answers that she gives me. That's the cons from my side. Some of the pros, the only thing I have to compare this interview to is to interview two, in which I felt like I did not do a good job. In this one, I definitely improved on some other things. Some of the pros, I stopped all the sounds and comments between asking a question and then getting an answer. I did use a couple fillers like the ums, the okays, and the rights, but it wasn't between every single question slash answer that was in the interview between me and Kaylin that now happened in interview three between me and Priscilla. I feel like I did a good job relating the object to personal accomplishments for Priscilla. Her object was the gavel. I wanted to make sure that when she got the gavel, I was able to ask questions about when she got the gavel, how she got the gavel, what the scene was like, what the gavel meant to her, what she felt like the gavel meant to her family that was at the ceremony where she got the gavel, where the gavel sits now, does it have any defects, any flaws, what it's made out of. I felt like they did a really good job trying to get the most out of the gavel, even though the gavel was not there with us that day during the interview. She had to show me pictures on her phone. I felt like in the interview, because it's recorded on video, I maintained very good eye contact throughout the entire process. I was able to get into the family's feelings. I felt like that's a different dimension, and it wasn't so much what the family's feelings actually were. It's that when the gavel to Priscilla is an accomplishment of her being a captain of her debate team for X amount of time while she was in high school. As an older interviewer, one of the older students in the class, I can only relate to the fact that I am sure that her parents were more proud of Priscilla getting that gavel than she was. And what I wanted to try to do was to get Priscilla to recognize that and I don't know, almost in a hearsay mindset, say what she thought her family thought about her getting the gavel. I thought that was a really good opening into Priscilla's perception about what her family feelings are as far as her accomplishments are concerned. That may not carry very much weight to us that are listening, but I feel like that was something that carried a lot of weight to Priscilla. And asking that question and then hearing Priscilla elaborate on that. As far as her mom being super proud of her, her dad knowing that she was going to get it, the feelings of the teammate that she was with when she did all the debates, the teammate being the same age, not getting the gavel, Priscilla did. Was there any animosity there? Every angle of Priscilla getting that object, that gavel, I thought was really important, and then being able to ask those questions and get Priscilla to elaborate on those, I thought was a really good job. I thought I did a good job of bringing that stuff out of her. My posture was really good. He said in the video, I maintained an upright, eye contact, chin up posture throughout the whole thing. I felt like my posture lacked a little bit whenever I went to take notes. I hunched over my notes quite a bit. I leaned into the camera frame, which in an audio context, someone would not be able to see that or understand that. But in the context of somebody watching the video, it's almost like I kind of take over the frame, and then Priscilla's just kind of there maintaining the conversation. I think I could do a better job of staying tall and taking my notes down. I wrote another thing is that leading questions into the gavel and how it affected teammates. I felt like I addressed that just before. And then last but not least, as far as the object is concerned itself, I felt like I did a really good job of getting Priscilla to tell me where the object came from, what it was made of, where it sits in relation to her, how that whole cubbyhole thing works. Is it eye level? Is it waist level? Does she take care of it? Has she ever hit it? Use the gavel for its actual purpose. The design of the gavel, in my opinion, is to make that hammer sound. The gavel, over the course of a historic tradition, has been something that's almost kind of not necessarily personified, but taken on the image of being a judge, being a lawyer, being in that court setting, and not so much the usage of the sound that it makes, which is what I believe it was originally designed for. So to ask Priscilla the question, has she actually heard her gavel make that sound when she hammers it, I thought was really good. And then the more negative side of that is there a part of the gavel she doesn't like? Meaning, are there defects in the gavel? Is there a scratch in the paint? Is there a side of the grain that she doesn't like? Does the handle match up to the head? Things like that. I felt like I did a good job with that. Overall, was a much better interview than interview 2 with Kaylin, where I felt like I just made sounds when there was silence, which does not look professional at all. I still have a lot of room for improvement. I feel like my posture can be better. I feel like I can slow my speech down a little bit. and I feel like I can get to the point of questions a lot better than what I did with Priscilla. So between Caitlin's interview and interview 2 and this one, I feel like it's 100% better. That being said, as far as a grade, I would probably give myself like a B minus or a B plus. I still feel like there's some improvement I can make on the interview process, and not fill the silence with random sounds, not lead them into the structure of an answer that I want them to give me, um, and come up with deeper questions from here on out. So that's my assessment of interview 3. Thank you so much.